Half of corporate communications officers now are reporting directly to the CEO. And in many of these companies, they regard communications today as a core service equal to finance and law. So in many places, we already have gained a seat at the table. Secondly, as social media becomes more mainstream, it too is moving more into the C-suite. But it is my contention that many CEOs still do not totally appreciate either the process or the impact of social media, and there's definitely a need for education, and I just wrote a blog about that. But if you, like me, believe that communications is a core service, then you have to imagine that the value of that service is going to grow. Point number 4, breathtaking tech breakthroughs. Now, I'm particularly excited about 2 distinctive ways in which new breakthroughs in technology will reshape and expand our opportunities. The first involves our product and service offerings, and this is just a little example, but as social networks continue to evolve, our skills and the tools that we use must evolve too, and they must evolve quickly. I predict that technology proficient geeks will become an essential part of our business, or you will have to use them the same way graphic designers and research specialists are also part of our business. We need technology experts today. We missed that point in the dot-com era. To help us stay ahead of the curve by engineering our content and developing leading-edge apps and other opportunities for our clients. And for that matter, for ourselves. This is essential if we want public relations to be at the center of the marketing mix, and that is where it belongs. Now, secondly, indicators suggest that another big wave of technology is coming that will give rise to business for us and will affect all companies. And this is especially true in the areas of consumer electronics, B2B technology, everything mobile, including banking, and the green revolution. Now, here's an example of something. I don't know, what do you think this is? Any ideas? Well, it's a picture of E. coli bacteria. And it may be also a revolutionary kind of disk drive. Now, researchers in Hong Kong have found a way to compress data into chunks that can be inserted into individual E. coli cells so that just 1 gram of E. coli could store the same amount of data as 2 450 terabyte hard drives. It's sort of amazing. What's more, they've mapped these cells so that it's easy to find specific data later. They've then even developed a security system within these E. coli that allows them to encrypt the data to keep it safe from cyber threats. So this amazing technology could conceivably create an entire industry that could drive the current hard drive industry, really, in storage media, companies like Hewlett-Packard, IBM, Sony. It could drive that portion of their business completely out. And it could also, and this is just symbolic of the kinds of things going on, but these kinds of things can also make the fortune of PR people that work in these areas. You know, serving clients like these will become require an agile mind, really an ability to deal with scientific thinking that means increased demand for smart, skilled public relations professionals who are as comfortable with science and engineering as they are with media relations and event management, for example. Point number 5, the second coming of TV. According to Jeff Cole, someone I know quite well, who is a research professor at the USC Annenberg School of Communications in California, and is director of the Center for the Digital Future. Television will again become the constant companion of most people for their leisure hours and also for information retrieval. Only this time, it's going from the room to the pocket. It makes perfect sense. And it has already begun. Cable companies are now sending live TV programs to mobile services. More and more people are watching long-form videos and also doing it on their smartphones. And they're also co-viewing video content and sharing the experience with their friends via the various social networks. And as the number of hours of TV go up that people are watching from about 34 hours weekly to about 50, the demand for content will skyrocket. And PR people can help to shape and create that content and also help distribute it. So that will be another reason that I believe there will be greater demand for service, our service. Now, the sixth reason, the cost of getting PR wrong is greater than it ever was before. Now, not so long ago, a company's constituencies were divided into discrete segments: shareholders, employees, customers, analysts, journalists, and so on. Geographical segmentation wasn't unusual, so the people in the New York office didn't necessarily know everything that was going on in the Toronto or Brussels or Tokyo office. And with the exception of special situations when there was a crisis, there was basically no great need. But that hasn't been true for almost a decade. Today, what's inside is outside. Everything a company says, everything a competitor says, everything its partners, employees, shareholders, and neighbors say, everything that has anything to do with anything is a wide open box. And everywhere in the world, this is true where there's an internet connection. So this is a great challenge to manage. If not done carefully, the dam will break, and the cost, as we know, is steep. And this is an obvious example, but it's so important because this is obviously one of the most colossal corporate grafts in world history, and something that President Obama certainly called the worst environmental disaster that America's ever faced. The company BP, which was known as one of the greenest of the oil companies before this, attempted to minimize the problem at first, shifted the blame, obfuscated facts that created an information vacuum. And I'm not going to go into a lot of the evidence now, but social media rushed to fill the hole, if you want to say it that way, because it was all over the world. And last November, one of the popular technology blogs called it probably the disaster most covered online ever. And leaving aside the ongoing costs to the economy, the environment, the wildlife, the reputation, the livelihood of the people on the Gulf Coast, let's take a look at what the cost of getting it wrong was. CEO lost his job between April and June 2010. Company lost $105 billion in value. Investors saw their holdings at BP shrink to $27.02 a share, nearly a 54% loss in value. But it's not just the global giants whose every utterance is being watchdogged by people on the internet. Here's another quick example. A New York PR executive was going to Memphis, Tennessee, to meet with his client, FedEx. And as soon as he got off the plane, he posted on Twitter, and here's what he said: "True confession, but I'm in one of those towns where I scratch my head and say I would die if I had to live here."